in to the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. We got Megan, we got AJ, we got Rudo, and we've got a broken camera. Hell yeah. Avs taking on the Arizona Coyotes for the final time in the season. Do they play 4 times? They might play 4 times. I don't know.
Probably, man.
Either way, the Avs taking on the Arizona Coyotes for the second time in 4 days. There was a casual 3-day break in there where no one played any hockey, but, you know, hope everyone had a happy holiday. For the Avs, it is a same-day travel game that we've talked so much about and how stupid it is, but Avs are going to have to deal with it. I asked this question on the pregame show the other day to the PHNX guys because I had them on, but I want to ask you guys. Is this game more important for Colorado, a team trying to fight for the top of the Central Division, or is it more important for Arizona, a team trying to fight for a wild card spot?
Still Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they just have more to play for as a team that really, really wants to legitimize its place in its current rebuild with a postseason berth this year. And as you said, the Avs are tied for first. Like, they're...
If they lose this game, it's the sky is not falling.
Yeah, you don't feel like, you know, they might be scratching and clawing for every point to win the division at the end of the year, but that's a very different world than scratching and clawing just to make it in.
Sure.
So the Coyotes are still even in a bad Western Conference, they're still in every single point could really be very important to them. And for the Avs, just not there yet.
I think from a morale standpoint, to have won 4 straight before they face Colorado and get knocked off in that way, it's good for their habits to not allow the losses to stack too much in between. And because the competitor is the Avs, I think that a lot of teams want to give them their best. And so I think it is really important for a team like Arizona to bring the very best that they got and use the weirdness of the travel day coming out of the holiday to their advantage.
They certainly seem to get that advantage against Colorado often, but
I think to build on that point too, Arizona didn't play very well in Denver.
They did not.
Some of that is the Avs played quite well for stretches of that game, and some of that is Arizona just didn't play very well. And so I do think that, you know, from a confidence standpoint, at least giving the Avs a better game than that, because that's just what Connor Ingram was bad in that game too. We didn't really talk about it, but he wasn't any good that night either.
That glove side, man.
Yeah. So you're talking about they're all probably a little amped up for this. Like, we have way better that we can put on the ice than what they did. And Colorado's just like, well, we'll just do it again.
I think that's a storyline for Arizona to really draw upon, because it was already kind of contentious in the Arizona game that they last played. And they lose J.J. Mosier as a I don't know why I lost my word there, but they lose him in that game. He is no longer available to them tonight.
Yep.
I have to imagine that there's some upset feelings that they can channel into something productive over that. I don't think these teams like each other very much.
Nathan MacKinnon certainly does not like the Arizona Coyotes. I can tell you that.
So weird.
It is weird.
It was like a thing when Connor Garland was there, and we were like, we know those guys don't like each other from their days at Shattuck's, but now, like, that guy's long gone, and he's still just
mad.
Cannot stand them. They've gone through like a coaching staff overhaul, like different front office. Like, what is it? Is it Clayton Keller? Like, what is the deal with Nathan MacKinnon and the Arizona Coyotes? It's so weird how it seems so personal with
It's
them.
just the sheer existence of hockey in Arizona.
Anytime a team can't build a 1C, he just can't handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did want to talk about this too, and maybe I am giving too much credence to a game at the end of December with this conversation, but you look at a team like Arizona, and let's face it, the last handful of years, there really hasn't been anything to play for this team in the regular season. The last real games where they really had something on the line was the bubble games.
That did not go great for them.
It didn't. Not only did that not go great for them, but it's kind of a one-off weird state. So is this a situation for Arizona where they are in a battle for a wild card spot against one of the top teams in the league like Colorado? Do you think the pressure gets to him a little bit? Do you think this is kind of a learning experience for this Arizona team, or do you think they're capable of rising to a challenge like this?
They went on that stretch there where that very weird NHL statistic about like the reigning Stanley Cup champions from the years before, how the Arizona Coyotes managed to beat them. So I think Arizona has actually done a good job of beating good competition in this season already. I think that will continue to be a motivator for them. And that's why I say they will give Colorado their very best, is because of what Colorado means to the league. Even when they lose games and we feel like the sky is falling, and I say we loosely, the rest of the league doesn't feel that way. And that's why Arizona does. I think that, one, I'm not giving them enough credit for how they'll respond to this type of game. I think that they have a lot working to their advantage in this game. Being in their home arena, the ice was so bad the last time that the Avs were there after Christmas. It caused a difference in the game, and Arizona, they play there regularly. Like, I think that there's just a lot of reasons that this is working to their advantage.
All right.
Yeah, you definitely have to feel a lot better for the Coyotes going into this than you do the Avs right now. I mean, you don't travel. The ice is shitty down there. The whole mullet experience seems
Surreal. Yeah.
very, very disliked by players.
Yeah.
And Arizona's at least comfortable in that environment. I wonder if it's almost like teams coming into Denver to play in Coors Field.
Sure.
Where you're like, this is just such a weird atmosphere compared to everywhere else that we are, that they're just uncomfortable with
Every
it.
single pitcher on the roster going, here we go again.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm going to need non-Coors stats in my contract negotiations, because it's just an extreme environment. And that's obviously like a playing surface thing for that. But
course.
Everything about Mull, I mean, the ice is bad. You think about the travel day game last year and how they won that game. The Avs were not very good in it. It was very sloppy. A lot of things go their way because pucks just do things sometimes. And especially when you're on crappy ice, it happens. So, you do wonder about it, but like, that's just hockey. Like, those are just like normal hockey things. The travel thing really is a big, like, Connor McGahey posted that picture from the flight this morning at like 9 a.m.
Yep.
And I'm like, these dudes are getting up at, if it's what, 9?
So
they were already in the air.
6 a.m. They were
Yeah,
up.
so you're probably talking about a 6 a.m. have to get up, get out there,
Yep.
go do the thing, get there, and then you're there. And what do you check into the hotel and nap in the afternoon? Like, you don't have a morning skate. Everything about the environment on this is so odd for the team that has to travel.
It's kind of the double whammy there because of that and because of Mullet Arena. How often does Eric talk about routines for players on game day where they do X, Y, Z in an order this way every single time? Now that entire routine is not only thrown off by the travel, but we've heard a lot of people talk about the Mullet situation where there's just kind of weird stuff with that arena. Like the walk to the locker rooms is mostly outdoors, and you don't have kind of the same situation as you do in the majority of the arenas in the NHL.
Yeah, it's just from an amenities standpoint, it's an odd.
Yep.
The whole thing is just an odd experience. And so I think you consider all these like little things and they add up and you're like, well, it doesn't take much to lose an NHL game. So everything that starts to stack up against you just makes it a little bit tougher. The Avs should still win this game. They're the better hockey team.
Yeah,
like, let's be
no
real
doubt.
here. It feels like we're preemptively making an excuse for them to lose this game, but it's a reality here. It just exists.
Yep.
And it's going to be a challenge for them. And if they win it, then you're talking about, then they go to St. Louis, and then they're at home against San Jose. We could look back at the end of the year and go, yeah, was the Chicago game very frustrating? Absolutely.
And then they went 4-1 in that stretch or whatever it ends up being.
Right.
But
And this is the other game that was on the schedule after they lost that, where you were like, this is the most likely game that they lose. Just team situation, everything that goes into it. This is the most likely one. It gets easier from here. So you win this game. Again, it sets you up for a good finish to 2023.
Just adding to that, last year, Andrew Cogliano and Comfer flew in on their own accord just to get there a day early to try and stick to their routine as much as possible.
Yep.
And it looks like this year everybody seemed to travel together and participate in morning skate, to include Nathan MacKinnon. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, given that he's had so much success not taking morning skate. But I think a game like this matters the most for someone like Georgiev, who, with all of the weird things that could happen in front of him, if he can take this game for Colorado, he's been building on his confidence the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And if you ask him about how his December has gone on a whole, he laughed and said, I kind of want to just look at the last couple games and, you know, what I've been building from there. And it was a very pragmatic response from there. But it's important for him to continue building on the positives that he has shown in this last couple of games. And you don't want him to get off track with a weird game. Like, I don't think the Avs want to go into this like, well, it's a total fluke, right? They're gonna give it their best, and they absolutely can win this game. We're just preemptively preparing ourselves maybe for a little bit of weirdness inside of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great point, too, because I think if you look across the Avs over this last stretch, both good and bad, you can find points where you're like, hey, all right, your top of your offense is doing well. There are games where the bottom of your offense has done well. Your defense has been up and down, but there are good spots to point out. And for a large part of this stretch, you've just needed better goaltending. Now, obviously, last game against Arizona was a great jumping-off point. This one is Georgiev continuing that storyline.
Which was part of the frustration of him having such a strong performance right before a 3-day break, where you're like, you really didn't want that to halt the momentum, but if it's okay, you know, if he comes out of it strong and he continues to build on it, like, we've talked on this pod, I've said this a bunch recently, that so far this year, the Avs, good, not great.
Yep.
And if Georgiev picks his play up, they go to great immediately, and their next step is great to elite.
Yep.
And that's his importance. So it was a great point by Megan, just to, that's the guy. That's the one that you're looking at going more than anybody else. You could lose this game 1-0, but if he plays great, you feel pretty good about it.
Yep. I think that's exactly right. We do have the man from an undisclosed location in Big E with his 3 keys of the game today.
All right. 3 keys to today's game against Arizona Coyotes post-holiday break. Number 1, shake off the turkey legs. We all know it's a tough travel day. It's unusual to travel in the National Hockey League game day. But since it was the holiday break, the Avs are stuck with that schedule. But you got to play the game. So get a hit, take a hit, get involved, get all 4 lines, all 6 Ds, get a good warm-up, and go after them. Number 2, find your identity early. Dictate play. I know that's a cliche. Don't play on your heels. Be on your toes. Go at them. Be smart with the puck. Be sharp in your defensive reads, and go at them. Number 3, create from below the goal line. This is a good defensive team. Coyotes don't give up much. You always have to grease up what you're going to get. Turingi does a great job. Ex-Avalanche assistant coach, now head coach for the pesky Coyotes. He does a good job tightening the things and taking away the space sometimes in the neutral zone. The Avs will have to muck it up, grease it up, get some chances from below the goal line. Make the Ds turn their feet facing the end boards, not the other end of the ice. If they do that, the Avs should be good. This will be good. I know some call it a schedule loss today. I don't. I believe the Avalanche will be ready to go. Make a big start for after Christmas, after the holidays. Go Avs.
So, that last point from Eric, a little conversation I wanted to have here. He's talking about mucking it up below the goal line, things like that. When you look at the Avs forward core and time on ice, obviously you have MacKinnon and Rantanen at the top of that by a significant margin, both playing around 16:30 per game at 5-on-5. Then you have Nichushkin right around 15 minutes. The next highest forward is Logan O'Connor at 11:43 at 5-on-5 ice time. AJ, you don't seem very happy about that.
No, man. LOC is great.
Of course.
That should not be the case.
Yep. So, is LOC there because of his ability to muck it up, do that stuff that he was talking about? Or is this just the reality of a situation where someone like Ross Colton ends up with less time because of how much they play Nathan MacKinnon?
No, I mean, I think the reason that it's LOC is that he's reliable.
Okay.
For better or worse, Logan O'Connor is the same guy every single game.
True.
When he's having a really good game, his level looks an awful lot like when he's having a bad game. It's just a little bit of the details might be a bit different. And that's it.
Yep.
And that's what a coach loves.
Not wrong.
Loves a steady Eddie. You know, like, why do you think Jack Johnson still plays in the lineup the way that he does when there are other options? And, you know, the team still prioritizes him because coaches love a guy where they can say, I know what I'm getting. The worst I'm getting out of this guy is something I can live with. And let's be real. Logan O'Connor has also been fantastic this season.
Totally. Makes every line he's on better.
Yeah, and as the ultimate glue guy for their bottom six, middle six at some points, it's easy to just turn the keys over and just be like, all right, just go do your thing. I would prefer for it to be more like Ross Colton. You know, when he gets back, or Terry Lehkonen.
Yeah, of course.
Those types of guys should really, as the season goes on, should start to get more and more of that. It's both a testament to LOC's dependability and quality of play, but also the uncertainty in the lineup around him that Bednar has not developed that kind of trust in the other guys yet, which needs to happen.
It's a trend that I think is going to be bucked as guys get healthier because Ross Colton's ice time was trending upward there for a minute, and he's been battling through something the last several games. And so his ice time has been managed by Bednar. It's not been a punishment. It's not been because he's been disappointed in how Colton has played. It is to try not to overwork him. And similarly, when forwards go down, Logan O'Connor has been Mr. Fix-It. He has been the versatile piece that can be plugged in a number of places in the lineup. And like you guys mentioned, make it a little bit better and eat up minutes on the penalty kill to help alleviate some of the workload from Val Nichushkin. And so as a result, I think that's why OC's ice time has been up and will probably stay up to some degree. But once guys start to get healthier, I think that we will see those ice times trend upward as well. Because I think that I think Ross Colton's one of Bednar's favorite players. I think that he loves the guy. And as he earns more trust, and he has a pretty long leash as it is, and gets healthier, I think that we'll see that start to level out in a way we expect a bit more.
Yeah, I did just find the gap curious. You expect your best players to play the most minutes, but when you're looking at a gap of it's nearly 4 minutes of time more between MacKinnon, Rantanen, and then the next highest forwards in LOC, which is a significant amount of time at 5-on-5.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about you want your top line at a baseline, 5v5, you're probably saying 16 or 17 minutes right in there. And then after that, you would at least like it to be like in the 13 range.
Yep.
For your second line.
Not 11, which is what it's at right now.
And I imagine after LOC, it's just a huge
it's a
cluster
pile of guys.
of guys that are all in there. That's kind of where the Avs have been this year. Of they have a first line, they have two second lines, and they have a fourth line.
Yep.
And that's their challenge, is that they need guys to play their way out of that and into those minutes.
Fair enough. On the defensive side, Bowen Byram tops the Avs TOI at 5-on-5 at just shy of 18 minutes. Devon Taves right behind him. Obviously, we know Cale Makar has been playing through some stuff for the majority of the season. He's down at just under 16 minutes. So that's kind of where that comes from, certainly at 5-on-5. We've seen Makar has never been afraid before this season even to pull himself off the ice when he needs to. We see him do it all the time on power plays, even if that doesn't come into effect here. Will we be able to see a Makar that doesn't have to do that at some point this season, or is this just something he's going to fight this whole year?
Only if players like Byram step up into the responsibility. I think Byram has yet to do that. He's made forward movement, but the trust just isn't there outside of the top pairing, and it can be. There are players like Manson whose play has been on the rise, but I just think that you really have to separate as a defenseman to even come close to making that argument to spread those minutes out a little more evenly. What Cale Makar / Taves do together when they're on the ice, there just isn't any pair that really comes close to contributing in that way, and it's hard then because they give you the best advantage to win. And I think that's what Bednar bases a lot of his decisions on, is who's going to put me in the best position to win this hockey game, and it's Cale Makar. And until other players like Byram really step up and make a case for themselves being able to impact the game in a positive way that just comes close, doesn't have to be Cale Makar, I think it's going to still be Makar who's eating up those crazy minutes.
Fair enough. That is part of this conversation here as well. Byram gets significantly less special teams time than Cale Makar does, so there is a little bit of give and take there. But still, despite some of the downplay, whether it's by trust or by he doesn't have any other choice, Bednar is certainly giving Bowen Byram a bunch of 5-on-5 time.
Yeah, and some of that is, one, you're trying to get him to play his way through it.
Sure.
And some of it is that he doesn't really do much on special teams.
Yeah.
You know, he's
plays a second PP unit, gets 20 seconds of power play or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then on the PK, when they've had other options, they've gone with him because he's been bad on it.
Yep.
He just hasn't been a good PK player.
Yep.
And so I think it's like, okay, well, where's he going to get his minutes then?
Got to be a 5-on-5.
It has to be 5-on-5. So that's part of it.
Yep.
You know, it plays into that as well.
All right, let's jump to my bets. We have, look, anecdotally, coming off of breaks, Mikko Rantanen finds his magic. He's the recipe for success when they haven't skated in 3 days and some nonsense is going to go down. So
he's the guy who definitely seems to need the least prior established
wind
rhythm
up, yeah.
to do some wild shit.
So he's plus 120 for over a point and a half. Devon Taves is even money for a single point. I feel like that's just free money. And then I had some fun with it. I feel like the Avs power play is going to keep it rolling. So I took Makar for 2 power play points at plus 850.
850 is great odds for a bet like that, too.
Right. The money was right where it's like, all right, just send it. Just send it on that one.
Yeah.
Do all of your betting over with Bet365, and we got a special deal going on right now. If you sign up with Bet365 for a new account with code DNVR365, take a picture of it when you deposit at least $10 with your new account, and then send that screenshot to promo@thednvr.com, and you will get a reward coupon for a free shirt or hat from the DNVR locker. So, sign up with Bet365 today. Get yourself a free DNVR merch option for yourself. When you do go over to Bet365 and use the DNVR365 code, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. All right, any final thoughts from you two before we get into this one? No?
I have absolutely no expectations for this game.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
good or bad. It's
Yep.
just get out healthy.
surprised me.
Just one of those games you have to get through in a season? All right.
Yep.
Understandable. We will be doing a watch along for this nonsense mess of a hockey game, so come join us for that if that's your thing. If not, be sure to tune in post game where we will break down whatever happens in this one. Like and subscribe here on YouTube, and we will talk to you in a few.
We all silly like the mayor.